Listen to Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Oxford Reading University. Level 2, Part 2. You will find Part 1 here.
6. Elizabeth hoped to see Wickham at the ball, but he wasn't there. He wanted to avoid a certain gentleman here, Mr. Wickham's friend told her. Of course, by a certain gentleman, he meant Mr. Darcy. Elizabeth had to dance twice with Mr. Collins. She was bored and tired of him. While she was talking to a friend, Mr. Darcy came by and asked if he could dance with her. Elizabeth was so surprised that she said yes. When the music began, she and Mr. Darcy were silent for some time. Then Elizabeth started talking. She wanted to annoy him, so she said something about the dance. He replied, then was silent again. "Now you should say something, Mr. Darcy," Elizabeth told him. "I talked about the dance. You should speak about the room or the people." He smiled. "I will talk about whatever you want, Miss Bennet." "Very well. You have said a whole complete sentence," Elizabeth commented. "Now we can be silent for some time." "Do you and your sisters often walk to Meryton together?" Mr. Darcy asked after a moment. "Oh, yes," she said, and then added, "Last time I met someone new there." Immediately, Darcy became serious. "Mr. Wickham has pleasant manners and appearance," he said. "It's easy for him to make friends. However, not all of them remain his friends for long." "Well, he has lost your friendship. How sad for him," Elizabeth replied. Darcy said nothing. After a pause, they started talking about other matters. When they finished dancing, Elizabeth heard her mother speaking loudly. "Mr. Bingley is such a handsome and rich young man," she was saying. "He will be such a good husband to my Jane. Moreover, his house is just 3 miles away from our house, so we will visit each other often." Elizabeth was very embarrassed. She asked her mother to stop, but Mrs. Bennet didn't listen. She continued talking about Mr. Bingley. When the Bennets were leaving, Mrs. Bennet invited Mr. Bingley to dinner at their house. "I will go on a short trip to London, but soon I will be back," Mr. Bingley said. "After that, it will be my pleasure to visit you." Mrs. Bennet was quite happy. She was sure that Jane's marriage was a matter of weeks. 7. The next day, Mr. Collins decided to ask Elizabeth to be his wife. "Almost immediately as I came into this house," Mr. Collins began, "I chose you for the partner of my life. Let me explain my motives. First, I think that every priest should marry. Second, I am sure that it will make me very happy. Third, Lady Catherine told me to marry. Why did I decide to find a wife here? Well, I will get your father's property when he dies. Oh, but I hope that he will live for many years. So I decided to take one of his daughters as a wife. Finally, I should tell you that my feelings for you are very strong. I don't care about the money. I will ask nothing of your father." It was necessary to stop him right now. "You move too quickly, sir," Elizabeth cried. "I didn't give you my answer. I thank you for your kind words, but I have to say no." "I know that young ladies often say no, but actually want to say yes," Mr. Collins told her with a smile. "Sir," Elizabeth said, "I am certainly not one of those young ladies. I am quite serious. You will not make me happy, and I will not make you happy either." But Mr. Collins didn't listen. "You are so lovely," he cried. "Your parents have given me their permission. I am sure now you will say yes." To this, Elizabeth could not answer, so she left the room. Soon, Mrs. Bennet came to the room. When she saw Mr. Collins alone, she was very surprised. She came to her husband, crying, "Oh, Mr. Bennet, you must make Lizzie marry Mr. Collins. She says she doesn't want to, and if you do not hurry, Mr. Collins can change his mind." "I don't understand you," Mr. Bennet said. "What are you talking about?" "About Mr. Collins and Lizzie." "And what can I do?" Mr. Bennet asked. "Talk to Lizzie," Mrs. Bennet replied. "Tell her that she must marry him." "Call her. I will tell her what I think," Mr. Bennet said. Elizabeth came to her father's room. "Come here, my dear," he said. "I understand that Mr. Collins has made you an offer of marriage. Is it true?" Elizabeth said that it was. "And you have refused," Mr. Bennet continued. "I have, sir," Elizabeth replied. "Very well. Your mother says you must accept it. Am I right?" "Yes, or I will never talk to her again," Mrs. Bennet said. "Elizabeth, you have a hard choice to make," the father said in a very serious voice. "Your mother will never talk to you again if you don't marry Mr. Collins. However, I will never talk to you again if you marry him." Elizabeth smiled, but Mrs. Bennet was very angry. Mr. Collins was angry too. He did not speak to Elizabeth. Later that day, Elizabeth's friend named Charlotte came to visit. Mr. Collins started talking to Charlotte, and she listened to him politely.
I think you forgot to subscribe to our channel. Do it now to get more audiobooks like this.
8. Several days later, Jane receives a letter from Caroline Bingley. Caroline tells Jane that they are in London. Mr. Bingley is going to spend all winter there. Caroline also suggests that Mr. Bingley is going to marry Mr. Darcy's sister. After reading the letter, Jane becomes very sad. Elizabeth tells her that Caroline is wrong. Everyone who saw Jane and Mr. Bingley together understands that they are in love. Elizabeth is sure that Bingley will come back soon. As for Elizabeth, she keeps seeing Mr. Wickham. She likes the young gentleman very much. Several days later, Mr. Collins asked Charlotte to be his wife, and she accepted. She was Elizabeth's closest friend. Elizabeth couldn't believe that Charlotte really liked Mr. Collins. He was so stupid and boring. Soon, Charlotte came to visit Elizabeth. "Marry Mr. Collins," My dear Charlotte, impossible!" Elizabeth cried out. "Why are you so surprised, my dear Eliza?" Charlotte asked. "Yes, you have refused Mr. Collins, but do you think that no woman wants to marry him now?" "Of course not, and I wish you all possible happiness," Elizabeth replied. "I see what you are feeling," continued Charlotte, "but I am not a romantic, you know. I never was. I only want a comfortable home, that's all. And I think that I can be as happy with Mr. Collins as most married people." "Surely," Elizabeth answered quietly. Charlotte was right. She was 27 years old already. It was difficult for her to find a good husband at that age. As for Jane, she received another letter from Caroline. Again, she wrote that they were going to stay in London for a long time. Also, Mr. Bingley spent a lot of time with Darcy's sister. He had no plans of coming back to Jane. After reading the letter, Jane was very miserable. There was no hope for her anymore. Elizabeth was really worried about her sister.
Do you like this video? Send it to your friends.
9. Mrs. Bennet's brother, Mr. Gardiner, and his wife, Mrs. Gardiner, came to visit. The Gardiners are very pleasant people, and the Bennet sisters love them very much. Mrs. Gardiner sees that Jane is unhappy, so she invites Jane to stay in London with them during winter. Jane accepts. When she comes to London, she visits Caroline Bingley. Clearly, Caroline doesn't want to be friends with her anymore. Jane doesn't have a chance to see Mr. Bingley, and he doesn't visit her. Now, Elizabeth doesn't speak with Mr. Wickham often. He is interested in another young lady, not very pretty, but very rich. However, Elizabeth is not unhappy about that. She understands that she is not in love with Mr. Wickham. Charlotte is now Mr. Collins' wife. In March, Elizabeth goes to visit her in her new house. Elizabeth was glad to see Charlotte, but Mr. Collins was as boring as ever. Every day he talked and talked about his patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. How kind she was, how rich, how intelligent. A few days later, Lady Catherine invited them all to her big, beautiful house. The dinner at Lady Catherine's was wonderful. However, nobody talked except the lady herself. She asked Elizabeth a lot of questions. How many sisters did she have? How old were they? Were they likely to be married? Were they beautiful? What carriage did her father have? Those questions were very impolite, but Elizabeth answered them quietly. Soon, Elizabeth learned that Mr. Darcy was Lady Catherine's nephew. A few days later, he came to visit his aunt. Elizabeth came to Lady Catherine's house often, but tried to avoid Mr. Darcy. She didn't want to talk to him. One day, Mr. Darcy came to Mr. Collins' house. The conversation was very short, and then he left. "What could this mean?" Charlotte asked. "My dear Eliza, he must be in love with you." But Elizabeth thought it was highly unlikely. One evening, Elizabeth decided not to go to Lady Catherine's house. When she was alone, She started crying. Jane, her dear sister, was very unhappy, and Elizabeth couldn't do anything about it. Elizabeth was sure that Mr. Darcy was the problem. He made Mr. Bingley forget about Jane. Now Elizabeth hated Mr. Darcy with all her heart. There was a noise at the door, and suddenly Mr. Darcy walked into the room. He asked if Elizabeth was feeling better. She answered coldly. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Then he came up to her and began. "I tried, but I cannot. My feelings are too strong. Please allow me to tell you how much I admire and love you." Too surprised to speak, Elizabeth looked at him in silence. He continued telling her all that he felt, but he also spoke of his pride. He didn't want to marry her. He thought that her family was too low, but he couldn't help it. He was too much in love. He was asking her to be his wife. Elizabeth didn't like Darcy, but still, she was pleased. Darcy was a rich and important gentleman. He was clearly sure that she was going to say yes. "I am sorry you feel this way," Elizabeth said. "I don't want to be a source of unhappiness to anyone, but I am sure it will not last long." Mr. Darcy was angry and surprised. After a long silence, he said, "And this is all you can say? I could, perhaps, ask why you refuse me like this, but it is not important. And I could ask why you told me that you don't want to marry me. You said that my family was too low. It was very impolite, but I have other reasons to dislike you. How can I accept the man who has destroyed the happiness of my dear sister? Nothing can excuse what you did there. Can you say it is not true?" she asked. "I did everything I could to separate my friend from your sister, and I was very pleased with my success," Mr. Darcy replied. "Moreover," Elizabeth continued, "you did a terrible thing to poor Mr. Wickham. What can you say about it?" "You are very interested in that gentleman," Mr. Darcy said. "I know that he was very unlucky," Elizabeth went on, "and all because of you. You took his money, and now you make fun of him." "And this," Mr. Darcy cried, "is your opinion of me. I thank you for explaining it so clearly. My faults are great indeed, but you just don't like the way I talked about your family. Do you think I should be happy about your low connections?" Elizabeth could feel her anger growing, but she tried to speak quietly. "No, Mr. Darcy, you are wrong. I was pleased when you asked me to marry you, but now I don't feel sorry about refusing you. You are not acting like a gentleman. Anyway, I don't want to be your wife, no matter what you say." He was clearly surprised. "You have said enough, madam. I completely understand your feelings. I am sorry for bothering you. I wish you good health and happiness." With these words, he left. Elizabeth did not know what to think. She was in shock. So she sat down and cried for half an hour.
Part 3. is coming soon. Do you want more English audiobooks with translations and transcriptions? Check out app ewa.com. You can read books and learn new words every day. And now, enjoy another English story.